Welcome to Diamond Bridges. I'm your host, Irene Diamond. Now is the time for people of all generations to wake up to their true sense of purpose, to embrace their freedom, and to build bridges between the disjointed collective. Join me today as I feature two guests, a Gen X and a Gen Z, with a riveting story of resilience between them, revolving around the health and body image and the mother-daughter relationship. Believe it or not, the compulsory eating disorder is multi-generational, and some of you will definitely relate. The two big questions which we will tap into today are, what can we do to change the multi-generational behavioral pattern? And how can we send the right message as role models? My first guest has a passion to support young women in finding their purpose. Understand who you are and why you are beautiful, and stand for that. She was previously a professional Ford plus-size model. She's owned her own fashion company in Europe and is presently recognized by Forbes as an international master chef, where she builds community through her business, Purposeful Ventures. Please welcome Jen Helene Popkin.
Thank you, Irene. It is such a joy to be here. I'm so appreciative to be able to share our story and to support women because we are all in this together. It's common ground.
Now, my next guest actually required my getting permission from her mother to appear on the show today because she's just 17 going on 18. But don't let that fool you. A real go-getter with big dreams who graduated early from high school, already a real estate investor and stock trader, with plans to have a home and children by the time she turns 25. Please welcome Penelope Popkin.
Thank you, Irene. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so grateful to have this space to share our story.
Penelope, does anyone ever call you Penny?
They do sometimes, and when I was little, they did a lot.
Oh, I love that name. I've always loved it. Now, I was a concert pianist at one time, and I knew this other concert pianist by the name of Penelope. And I just looked up to her so much. And to this day, as you can tell, I'm still thinking of her. It's just such a memorable name. And so is Jen Helene. I love Jen Helene. Beautiful.
Thank you. Helene is my grandmother's name. Sorry.
It was your grandmother's name, the full Jen Helene?
No, just Helene. For most of my life, I've gone by Jennifer, and now I really, really love Helene. So moving definitely in that direction.
I am happy to call you Helene. To me, it's such a model name, too. It really is. So what was your mother's name?
Priscilla.
Oh my God, that's a beautiful name. Wow.
Yeah, she was something. She was larger than life, and she was really a woman who loved to celebrate. She loved food, and she just loved life.
So Penelope, you graduated from high school early.
Yes.
How did you come to the conclusion that college is not for you?
Well, I think college is a great leadway to, if you would like to work a 9 to 5, if you would like to, work for the rest of your life, if you love working in that sense, then that's great. But I wanted to do something bigger, something different. I wanted to do something creative, and I wanted to create something of my own. I really like being independent, something I strive for every day. So when I was like, oh, I don't have to go to college. I didn't know I didn't have to go to college. No one told me you have an option. So I just decided I would like to create my own business and create my own life. And I can. I could basically do anything I wanted to. And
Oh,
so I decided,
you already are. Yeah.
yeah. So I just decided that I wanted to do real estate investing and that I wanted to pursue that avenue. So I did. And
Right.
here I am.
Didn't you say you studied some groups of people and their values and to try to analyze like how you wanted to project your life?
Yeah, I was in a multi-level marketing business, which a lot of people have opinions about, but I didn't stay in it, but I learned so much. Something they strive to teach you every day is time equals dollars and dollars equal time. And how you value your time and dollars is really important because we only have so much time on this earth. And I had no idea that that was even a concept. I had no idea. I didn't know how it worked. And the more I learned about how time equals money, the more I learned how much time I would waste every day doing things that didn't provide anything for me. So
100%. And you know what? I think that'll increase value to you. That whole concept is going to increase value as time goes on, right, Jen?
for sure.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
Helene? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you were raised by two entrepreneurs, so it makes sense that you didn't have the concept of time equals money because we were, you know, we were doing multiple things all the time, all over the world. So that makes that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Now
No,
I know why.
yeah. It's interesting that it has that effect of kind of snowballing or paying off at different levels. So now, I know that you began to learn about investing from your father and your grandfather. Are they still guiding you at all?
To this day, yes, I have mentoring calls with my grandfather every week. I also have mentoring calls with my father every week. Um,
Nice.
so constantly learning because I love it.
Wow, that's generational. I like that. And I'm sure you know what? I bet they learn from you too. I bet they
I
do.
think they do. I think they do.
Yeah, I'm sure they're picking up some really good trends from you and just good mindsets and um, the list goes on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're in Florida and you recently flipped a house and moved from California. What does that mean to flip a house?
So basically, flipping a house means that you buy a house, which technically we lived in this house that I flipped, but you buy a house that is needing some work. Maybe the kitchens are not up to date, or the front of the house has some issues, or maybe there's a plumbing problem. And, those are all the things that go into buying a flip. And then you remodel it and make it beautiful. You add accent pieces, you add maybe a more trendy color paint to the wall, new flooring, better backsplash, countertops, things that are more up to date that people would put their dollar into because they love it. So,
And they're more comfortable with the lifestyle that they might embrace in that home. But now how do
exactly.
you decide like how much to spend when you're making those changes?
You have to make a budget. That's extremely important. Creating a budget of how much you bought the house for, how much you're going to put into the house to make it more up to date, and then what you want to sell it for and what people will buy it for. So it's a whole system you have to create to figure out how you're going to make a profit and also create something beautiful that someone wants to actually purchase.
Wow. It sounds like you're off to a fantastic start. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Did you really say you're going to be 18 in January?
I am. Yes.
Oh, God. That is just so great. I feel like it's somewhat, heroic, like Hercules. So, Jen Helene, does this mean you're an empty nester?
Technically, I'm an empty nester. Yeah, and I miss my
What does this
girl for
mean for you
sure.
next? What's next for you?
Well, for me, it just opens up a lot of space to support Penelope in her business in every way, right? Financially, emotionally, in any way that I can. Of course, she can handle it all on her own, but it also means there's a lot of space that's opened up for me just in terms of my own personal practice. I'm a very devoted yoga practitioner, and just, all things writing and health and just more of my work, which is my life. And so I have more space for that. But outside of that, I hold her very close, even though I'm technically an empty nester, right? And you know this better than I do.
I do, and it's a big transition because you never let go totally. You just don't. I mean, you're always a mother. It might be different for fathers, but mothers, we don't ever really let go. We're always going to be mothers, but it
Yeah,
transitions to what role and to what extent, and
mm,
uh, yeah, it's tricky.
yeah,
It's different with
yeah.
every child too. Now you didn't want to go back to owning your own fashion company.
Well, I left the fashion business when I moved back to the United States. So her dad and I had a divorce, and then I moved back to the United States, and I had this epiphany after a voyage to India, as a lot of people do. It's kind of cliche, but it's true. I came back to the U.S. and I just saw some truths about my life, and fashion was no longer serving the purpose that I think I'm here to do, be, know, and have. So it just ended for me really when I left Europe. The idea to be in the fashion industry. I did sign with an agency, and did some go-sees and came back, but it was really around a value-based representation.
Mhm.
So clients that would be aligned with my values. So really health, I saw and still do see a huge need for accurate information, and that's really what I'm obsessed about, and I've been obsessed about with it for almost 30 years now. And I I just want to teach it and share it, and I get so much joy and satisfaction. Whereas in the fashion industry, I didn't get this level of satisfaction, joy, and like
And
Penelope always says, like take the next right step. What's the next right decision? What's the next right thing? And that she taught me that, and I love that
oh, what do
phrase.
you mean by that? Like, what would be right to you? Like, what constitutes the right step?
For me, the right step would be something that is one, meaningful, two, kind, and three, harmonious. So if the next right thing doesn't have to be perfect because that's not really even a thing, but it
Mm.
just has to be something that is going to help your journey.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps. I love that. I mean, seriously, coming from a Gen Z, definitely the answer. Let's take this to the dining room. Welcome back. Cheers. Let's talk about multi generational compulsive eating disorder. I have the clip that you created for the Creative Coalition competition. Your voice carries weight. Penelope, can you tell us about the competition?
Sure. So the competition is basically a PSA about obesity and why it's harmful to our bodies and how it can be harmful to ourselves and why it's a problem, because it is a problem that we face every day, that I faced, my mom's faced, my grandmother faced. And so it's something that is really important to me now that I am, the next generation. And so I just want to share it with people and try to make a difference in the world.
Let's take a look at that clip.
Hi, my name is Penelope, and this is my mom, Helene.
It's my grandma before I knew her.
On my grandmother's death certificate, severe obesity was written as the cause of death at age 59. Along the way, she went from this to this, and my mom went from this to this to this, and I went from this to this to this.
The struggle with food is real. Obesity is just a result of self-hatred. It's just a coping mechanism from trauma. I felt alone. I was suffering. I was in denial. I was not taking care of myself. I was depressed. I was stuck.
Did a multi-generational compulsive eating disorder, and here's how.
Here's how I'm healing. I realized I'm not alone. My mom was the light at the end of the dark tunnel. I put an end to the blame shame cycle. I choose nourishment, embodiment, and spirituality. Every day, I choose the next right thing. Every bite, every moment, every workout.
It is possible to celebrate life, love food, and be healthy. Join us in a weekly conversation where we discuss struggles and strategies and successes so that we can support one another, grow in community, and learn. Because the only way is through. It's not over, it's not under, it's through. There's just no hiding.
So, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And that's going to be for a competition, right? You've submitted this now to the Creative Coalition. Penelope, you lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, let's say 110 pounds. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, I suffered from a severe binge eating disorder, and I didn't know that I had a problem until I started going to school and I started gaining a lot of weight. I stopped exercising and I started spending a lot of time in my dark room alone by myself. And I started getting bullied at school, and people would tell me I was disgusting and ugly and fat, and that I was just the worst person in the world, basically, because of how I looked. And I didn't really understand why, and it would put me more in a dysmorphed view of my body. So I just kept going on the years thinking I didn't have a problem at all, and I didn't really even know. And every time I was upset or sad or hurt, I would go to food as the outlet for comfort because I didn't know any better. And then COVID happened and we were all stuck at home. And one day I literally woke up and I decided I was going to exercise just to try it. Just exercise, stop eating sugar and bread because I just wanted to. Yeah.
Wow. So, Jen Helene, you had a tough childhood as well, right? You had some issues when you were a girl.
Yeah, I mean, so my first Weight Watchers meeting was at age 5, and my nickname at school was Fatso. And that was before they thought I had leukemia at age 7, but I ended up having what is called osteomyelitis, which is after 6 months of searching, they took a bone marrow biopsy, and it's like an infection of the bone marrow, whereas they thought previously, maybe it was cancer. Thank gosh, thank God it wasn't, leukemia. But so it was tough. So I was in a wheelchair with intravenous antibiotics, and then shortly after that, I compound spiral fractured my leg. So I was really laid up from like 7 to 10,
Were you
and
in
a
a
lot of resulting. Yes, and then a lot of resulting weight, of course, from the sedentary lifestyle, and so I had to really take things seriously. I didn't experience the kind of trauma that Penelope did with the ostracism at school as much, I think, because people felt sorry for me. But then I, like her, I got my butt in gear and I just took, life by the reins, mostly because I was just so happy to be walking, with 2 legs, that worked.
Wow.
But,
Where were you
my
raised?
mom was
Where
I was
was
raised just
that?
outside Washington, D.C. I was raised just outside of Washington, D.C. So dad was in Bethesda and mom was in Northern Virginia. And so it was just between those 2 homes. And, mom was, Weight Watchers lecturer. She was also in and out of Overeaters Anonymous. So really the backdrop of my upbringing was the, 12-step program on the kitchen table, and attending, meetings with her, overhearing her speaking to, her sponsor every day. And so this idea that food could heal or food could harm was very primal to me, practically pre-verbal. And I don't think that, like any other addiction, and please forgive me if I'm offending anybody, but if I'm addicted to alcohol or drugs, you just give up those things. But if you have a food compulsion or you have a food addiction, you have to keep eating. So I find it to be one of the most challenging addictions, if we're going to call it that, of all, because we're confronted with it every time hunger strikes, which is multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm. Penelope, what does compulsory mean to you?
Compulsory means that you can't stop doing whatever you're doing. Whatever your habit is, you can't stop doing it. Yeah.
Should we make a distinction between the word compulsive and compulsory? Because I think they're two different things. I could be wrong though. Compulsory is like obligatory, whereas compulsive is like a intense.
A description. The compulsive is a description, right?
Compulsive, yeah. So it's a compulsive, yeah. So there's like, you can't stop, right? Like Penelope said, like you just want to keep going. And I think we all have those foods, right? That we love to eat, and it's hard to stop eating. Like pasta. Pasta is definitely like a food like that for me. It's like however much I'm gonna make, I'm gonna eat it, even if it's a healthy kind.
Yeah, yeah. So, you lost your mother prematurely, right? She passed away.
Yeah, Penelope never got to know her, which is just so hard for me to reconcile. She died at 59 with a cause of death, severe obesity.
So she was still overweight, even though had
Yeah.
she regained the weight after becoming involved with Weight Watchers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was up and down hundreds of pounds. So
Hmm.
when she died, she probably had about 200 or so pounds to lose at least. Yeah.
Oh dear. Was that was that hard for you? Like, I mean, it's hard to lose a parent prematurely. Um, but did you feel that somehow there it could have been avoided?
Well, I think that's the reason why I do what I do. I mean, it's because I couldn't help her with the knowledge that I've gathered since then. And now I'm on a mission to help as many people as I can, because my mom wasn't willing to lose the weight and feel the deprivation, the sacrifice, the lack of flavor. You know, food for us is a celebration. And I believe that that's what food is meant for. Throughout centuries, people have always gathered around food for celebration and
Yeah,
for
that's
mourning.
so true. So true.
And so now I know how to do it. Like I figured it out. I figured out how to like be healthy with flavor and abundance and still lose the weight and shift your relationship with yourself and food. And that's the magic ticket, so to say. And so now I want to help as many people as I can, because if I had known now, what then I might have been able to save her. Maybe. I mean, who knows? It's kind of selfish to say that, but
Penelope,
that's
do
my
you like to cook?
I love to cook every day. I cook all my food at
Wow.
home.
You also
Yeah.
cook for yourself? How many
Yeah, every day.
know how to cook for themselves? That is awesome.
Yeah, I love cooking. Cooking is it's in the heart of the home, and it's a place I find a lot of joy now, especially when I cook with my mom, which is really, really fun because we
Aw.
sing and we
And we're
dance,
going
and
to do a little cooking later in the show, too. I can't
yeah.
wait for that in the talent segment. So, Jen Helene, how old were you when you became a Ford model?
Oh, I started modeling when I was 14. I was still overweight, which was surprising to me, but I got headhunted by Mary Duffy at Ford Models and then another agent at Irene Marie. And so they were actually, yeah, they were actually kind of competing, and I ended up signing with Ford. And so I was 18 when I really, decided to defer my college admission and pursue modeling full time, which I at the time thought was a terrible idea. I just thought,
Good, huh?
this isn't going to happen. But then, I hit the ground running. I was, booked immediately. I was very, very successful, and I had a great learning experience and international success overnight. I mean, I was in Rome like within weeks of moving to New York City.
Fantastic. How tall are you?
I'm like 5'9.5", almost 5'10".
Perfect. Wow, wow. So I've done some modeling. And the industry rules are very demanding.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like being a plus size model?
Oh, it was rigorous. I was mostly booked by catalog clients in Italy and Germany and France, and it's rigorous. I mean, people think it's glamorous, but we are up at 3:34 a.m., hair and makeup on location at sunrise, and then we shoot nonstop until the sun sets.
It is
And
rigorous.
it is, and
People don't
it's
realize it. It's so true.
yeah, and so you have to really
Totally
be on your game.
glamorous. And it's a lot. You'd have to be always on your game.
Always. And so, you got to hold a very high level of professionalism and take care of yourself exquisitely. And so it set the stage for me, and taught me some things, because I had acne. And my booker said to me at one point, Helene, we can't really book you until your skin clears up. And I didn't know what to do. So that actually led me to learn a lot about natural health and the body's natural healing systems and how to activate them.
Mm. Well, when you think about the changes of puberty and just, leaving adolescence, becoming a young adult, like the chemical changes that you would have been going through, I mean, it was so normal to have to deal with those things, so real to life, different things like.
Quite possibly, although I think the excessive amount of antibiotics that on the one side saved my leg from being amputated, yet on the other side, may have been used excessively for ear infections. I had chronic ear infections growing up, and I think it really, really destroyed my gut. And it was once I started to address my gut that I was able to look at food allergies, food intolerances, and really clean up my systems. And that really made a difference for my skin in a way that the tetracycline medicine, Accutane, and all the other
Wow.
drugs were not able to do.
So you're saying like years later, like 5 to 10 years later, after you had been taking all those medications, then it was affecting your body as you were becoming an adult?
I think so.
Wow. I wouldn't be surprised. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for Western medicine for sure. But we have to really steer clear of unnecessary medications, and really get educated, because the education is our responsibility as we take care of our health.
Of course. And you have to use common sense sometimes, I think, as well. Like, do I really want to take this medication? I think it's my opinion.
Yeah.
Consult with your doctor and everything. Well, we don't have to go into that now, but now it's interesting how the role of plus size has changed, because now in 2022, plus size, I'm living in New York City. I see plus size women everywhere. It is the majority. And I'm not saying, like, there are plenty of, I don't take anything away from plus size. What I'm trying to say is that they're very good looking, but it's different attitude toward it now than it was 10, even 5 years ago, I think, but 10, 20 years ago. It's really evolved. Penelope, what do you think about plus size? Like, how do you, when you see different shaped women, do some strike you as more beautiful than others, or what is it? How do you compare in your mind? Like, do you judge?
I think someone told me this a little bit ago. They said the one thing that will keep you humble for the rest of your life, if not forever, will be the fact that you had gone through something like that. And so whenever I see someone who's plus size or a little bit rounder or whatever, one, I have some empathy for some of them, because I know what they may be going through or how they may be feeling, because even though people are sometimes more accepting, there also can be even worse now, even meaner, even, online, on social media, they could be worse, hateful, because they don't have a face to talk to you. It's online. So all these random people can just be coming at you online. So it can almost be brutal online, and in person. I think a lot of industries, a lot of websites, a lot of companies are now hiring more plus size women to be more inclusive. And I think all of that is great. But being obese is also harmful for our bodies at the end of the day. And I almost died because I was too obese. So being obese is not something that is always going to be the best thing for our health. And if we want to live longevity, then I think we still have to pay attention and keep ourselves in a healthy mindset around food itself.
Mm.
Good answer. Wow.
Yeah.
I think if we timed it, she would have won the pageant. No, I want to stay on this subject a little bit and just flesh it out a little because, now anyone can walk anywhere in yoga pants. It doesn't matter like what their size. Again, I'm living in New York City, so I'm seeing people more on the sidewalks. Not everyone is in their car. I'm not in the suburbs.
Right.
And it's just become so totally acceptable to to dress any way you want to dress, and it doesn't matter what size you are. And it's sometimes a fashion statement. It doesn't matter. It can be high-end clothing. It can be inexpensive clothing. Um, it doesn't have to be black. It can be all different colors. And it's almost like people have come out, like people with the genders as well, like in terms of size and their body shape. It's everything has become acceptable socially.
Penelope has a really interesting ideology around permissive advertising. Would you call it? I don't know, Penelope, how would you describe it? How like there's been this trend on social where it's like there's like this kind of righteousness around it too. So like, well, yeah, could you, I mean, you don't have to. I think it's really interesting where we are at this time and on this topic, because there's this balance, like you said, Penelope, between like health and, you know, acceptance.
That's the word right there, balance. That is the most important thing, I think, in life, balance. And I think being yourself and being comfortable in your body and walking into a room feeling grounded in your feet is so important. Nothing is more important than feeling like you can express yourself in any way. And I am 100,000% for that. But when it comes to being balanced, that word has been totally ruined nowadays. Balance is about enough happiness, equality, and comfort in your life. Balance doesn't mean go out and be super healthy on the weekdays, and on the weekends we're going to party and we're going to do all of these things and we're going to go right back on Monday. That is not balance. And it's a misconception nowadays that that's what balance is. You're super like healthy and happy, and then the other 20%, like we say, or the other 20, or the other weekend, we are partying and having all this fun and doing all these alcohols and things like that. And it's like that is not balance. Like that word has been abused, and I feel very strongly about that. And many people may disagree, but I don't think that's balance. I think that's another unhealthy compulsive pattern that shouldn't be supported nowadays.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
we go again with the word compulsive. Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah.
Well, it's like, and no, social media is designed to encourage compulsive behaviors. They want us to get addicted to it, and that's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just that the awareness around it helps us to know how to handle it and how to relate to it. And then a lot of the additives in food also create more desire for that food. So there's a lot of strategies that are very good for business, that may not be great for human health, whether it's psychological, emotional, or physical. And so we have to, again, just get informed about some of the strategies that are being used so that we don't fall prey to them into unhealthy patterns. And therefore, also what we're seeing a
Right.
lot of these days are compulsive patterns.
Because you have to be healthy. Like, it doesn't matter how gorgeous you are or how, um,
Successful.
yeah, you have to have your health. You have to take care of yourself. Yeah. And when I bring up the subject, I tried to bring it up lightly because the idea of plus size model, I don't diminish anything from that. I don't take anything away from plus size model. In general, plus size models are gorgeous, and they're not necessarily obese either. They're just not skinny, right? where the normal person is not as skinny as a regular model, a fit size model, you know. Um, anyway, what are your thoughts about the plus size body image, Helene?
It took me a long time to feel comfortable in my skin to stand in front of the camera and model. I mean, there was no formal training. You know, I think I did Barbizon back in the day, right? But the feeling of being comfortable in your skin, like
Lingerie.
that that is something that we have to cultivate. And you know, the picture speaks 1,000 words. And so if I'm feeling shy or I'm feeling uncomfortable, it's going to show up. And so I was kind of thwarted into this high paced modeling world where I had to really pull up my bootstraps figure this out fast. So I have to say that it's been like an onion, peeling away the layers, so that when I could look in the mirror I could actually love myself, really
Oh,
appreciate. It took
yes.
many years though before I could be like, oh, what, no, 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 like all the little things, right, that we
So
all
are you
do.
saying that even while you were being paid all that money, because you did do well,
I
it
did,
was
yeah.
a very tender age, let's face it, the 18 to 25 is tender.
Yeah.
Um, are you saying that at that point you still weren't comfortable in your skin? Wow.
No, and even when I saw the pictures, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that's not me. Like, who's that? Like, I couldn't believe that I could look like that. Because the hair and the makeup and the photography, and it was just like, I was just even today. Sometimes when I see professional photos of me, I'm like, that is that me? And
Yeah.
so there's this, like, I think Penelope used this word that's so accurate, like denial. Like we actually look in the mirror and we can't see ourselves because it's convoluted with judgment, expectation, fear, anxiety. And so to be able to sit with that long enough until those things clear, and then you can be in a position of choice to be like, I choose love today.
Mm.
I choose
So
faith today.
that's where we're coming to now in 2022, in the acceptance of that plus size. What I think the social norm is now, let's just put aside social media and what we were talking about earlier, the exploitation. I think that the value system is that people are feeling more comfortable in their skin.
Yes.
They can put on those yoga pants and they can walk out and feel confident because what matters is that they love themselves.
It's true. And then there's this line though, Irene, that I believe we need to really look at, which is between like kind of a righteousness, like I'm big and beautiful, and like I actually need to get healthy because there are massive implications to being overweight. And obese is actually only a BMI of 30 or more, and that doesn't mean you have to be morbidly obese. That means you could be 30 to 40 pounds overweight. So it's quite severe. You're the impending doom and 100% preventable diabetes, heart disease, I believe cancer, and other, so there are over 60 related diseases, and you have a 98% chance of surviving COVID. You have a 2% chance of surviving obesity. That's shocking. And
Wow.
so having my mom die because she was severely obese, I take it really seriously. And I'm not super skinny. I mean, I'm voluptuous. So I'm not like obsessive. I'm not, bulimic. I'm not anorexic at all. You can see that. I got meat on my bones. I love to eat. I love to make food. But we do have to take it. I believe we have to take it seriously. So there's that fine line between righteousness and like, I can do this. I'm allowed, versus like, hey, I want to get healthy. And this is the body I was given, and it happens to be voluptuously beautiful,
Gorgeous.
even though I'm healthy.
Yeah.
That's
You know what?
what I'm hoping to see and
I
lead.
love what you just said. I want to preserve that. That is just so meaningful. That righteousness factor versus healthy?
Truth. Listen, we all want to get away with something, right? I go over the speed limit sometimes, and I want to have my cake and eat it too some days. We all kind of have that in our personality. That's like our inner adolescent, like, rearing its head. But we have to like accept, which we're doing collectively, and integrate, as we use our wise mind to lead our life
Right.
in a happy, healthy, free, holy way.
So, Penelope, when did you realize your mother is not perfect?
I'd say I realized she wasn't perfect when I saw her, standing in the mirror and telling me, Penelope, I feel like I could lose a few pounds. And I was like, whoa, what? You're perfect. What do you mean? What do you mean? You're freaking gorgeous. I'm sitting here. I was sitting there. I was 100 pounds overweight looking at her like, are you joking? Like, what? And that's something else that happens nowadays as well. We see people talking about to us saying, you should be healthy, you should do this, you should eat that, you should do that, as we're sitting there looking beautiful, maybe being 100 pounds lighter than the person that we're talking to. And we just don't even understand. We can't even conceptualize what they're going through in their minds. And when a thinner person is talking to someone who's a little bit bigger about their problems, they're like, screw you, get away from me, leave. Like, you can't say that to me. Like, you don't understand, you don't get it, you don't know. And it's like, we do know. We just chose the next right thing. We just did the next right thing and chose that every day, every bite, every moment, every workout. We just chose the next right thing. And so just going into that is just really important. And
Yeah. I mean, I would think that your mother was genuine when she said that. Like, I don't think she was trying to be antagonistic or anything, right? She
No,
really
she wasn't.
did feel that she needed to lose a few pounds.
She really did. And yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so when did you and your daughter and your relationship remind you of you and your mother, Jen Helene?
I think it was when so there was a time where it was a breakthrough for Penelope and I to be able to actually have dinner together or eat at the table together. There was so much friction in our relationship around food, and that it ended up being a big divide in our relationship. And I was really scared because I didn't know what to do. I was on the verge of sending her away because I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, maybe she needs to go to a therapeutic boarding school or something, because I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't bring her to the table. I couldn't make food for her. And it was really challenging. So I think when she started to get curious and we were cooking together, and there was a massive healing where I had to do a lot of healing. I had to get real about some of the subconscious things that were going on that she was expressing. That's at least what I make it mean. And so it was almost instantaneous when I did my healing work and I increased my capacity to accept what was, that, things just, lined up and started to heal for both of us in our relationship and in
Yeah,
ourselves. It was
so what changed?
my ability to accept. I was really struggling between, like, well, if I accept this, then I'm also enabling it. And I was like, I can't accept it because I'm unwilling to enable it any further, which is a conversation that most people would have around an addict, right? If they have a son or a daughter who has a drug addiction. And in this case, it's similar but different. And so I was rejecting it, and she felt that level of rejection, and she felt my level of shame, and it was almost as if she was taking it on. And so this doesn't remind me of my mother per se, but it was as I was able to increase my capacity to really fully embrace her 100%. Like, maybe I was at 70 and I really needed to get to that that 90s, the 100%. And that was when things changed. So when we're in the kitchen and we're like shopping and we're doing things and we're chatting, like, it just reminds me of my mom, because we had a great relationship and it was really fun.
I want to add that once my mom let go of the controlling and trying to find a way to get me to stop or to stop doing this, or when she just let go is the exact moment, or almost the exact moment, where I was just like, I went all in into the compulsivity, and then I just let go and I decided I wanted to change, and that's when it all kind of came together slowly.
It took so much trust because it could have gone any which way. It took so much
So,
strength.
what were some of the behavioral changes when you let go, Helene?
It meant completely diving into the unknown and having to trust, in this case, a higher power, having to trust a force that I could not see or know, and have faith that on the other side that something was going to come out, and I didn't know what it was going to be. If it was going to be death, addiction, or recovery.
What did you do to let go, though? What were some of the things specifically that?
Oh, I had to proactively like release the gripping in my jaw, and I had to, zip it, not speak. But it was more than that, because not speaking isn't enough. It's here and here. So I had to really stop these internal dialogues. And then I had to also look at myself and just get real with myself. So it was in a way shifting focus, so I could really just start monitoring what was going on in my head and my heart, and then stopping what I'm saying, but also stopping the looping of worry and upset and anxiousness and fear and all that stuff that I'm energetically imposing on her, even if it's nonverbal. So
And you felt that change, Penelope. You felt a shift.
It took me a while to realize that she could actually change. I didn't think she was capable of changing. I thought she was going to stay the way she was forever, and that I would struggle forever. And when I realized that she was starting to let go, and she was really not controlling anymore, she was just letting go, I was like, oh, she's letting go. I can be me now. I can be myself. I can do what I need to do to figure this out, to just figure it out. And I just did. Yeah.
Wow. It's just so fascinating, that behavioral change. Because were you blaming your mother up to that point?
Yeah, I blamed her my whole life. I would walk down our hill, go to 7-Eleven, buy a bunch of food, hide it in my backpack, go to my room, eat all of the food, stuff it in my closet, hide all the trash from her, and she would find it, and we'd get into a debacle about it. Or I would stay in my room all day, every day, with the curtains closed, dark, sleep till 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and not talk to her ever. I wouldn't sit at the table. I wouldn't go see her friends. I would never really talk to her. I just wanted to be alone all the time, and I was just crying and having panic attacks. I missed like 124 days of school one year. Yeah.
Are you in touch with any of your old friends from school or peers?
They reach out to me nowadays because of where I am in my life, but no, before they didn't reach out to me, and now I don't really speak to them very much because my peers are at a different place in their life than I am. Like they are still in school, for example, which is totally fine. They are, partying, drinking. They're doing things that I'm not on the same path with, and that's okay. But it's also hard. It does get lonely when you can't find people to connect with that are on your same wavelength or want to do the same things. And so, it is hard, but it also gives me so much room for self-improvement so that I can find those people along my journey.
Oh, yeah. You will, and the right people, you'll attract the right people too. Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah.
And I'm also a believer that I don't think that you can look back and say, well, if I had done this, then this would have happened. Because you really don't know if those people would have been your friends anyway.
Right.
And
yeah.
Life is different now that you're out of high school. You're on to what you're doing, and they're on to what they're doing. Things are never the same. That's a whole nother thing, right? They're always
and everything. Right. And everything happens for a reason, truly. I mean, you'll never know it in the moment, but you look back a year or you look back years and you say, oh my goodness, it all makes sense now. I am so grateful for all of those things that happened, no matter how painful or sad they were. I needed to learn how to grow out of my obesity and compulsivity to be where I am today, in the
Where
body
you
I am, in
are.
the
Yes,
comfort I am.
yes, and
Yeah.
this is your story.
Yeah.
Yes. So both of you use the term resilience. Penelope, what does that mean to you?
Resilience means getting knocked down 1,000 times and getting back up 1,000 more times. Yeah.
Nice. Jen Helene, what does resilience mean to you?
Never giving up. Just keep going and having the trust that you can. And I think as I get older, I've gone through periods where I'm less optimistic because I have judgments or opinions about how things are going to turn out. And I think it's really important that we keep a beginner's mind about that resilience, that optimism. Because I know that I'm capable, but sometimes I don't dive in fully because I'm fearful, whether it's in a romantic relationship or in certain things. Because I don't know, can I rebound from this? Like if I give it my all, and that's definitely my edge in my in my resilience at my age.
You mean if it didn't work out, could you rebound? Is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah. How can you be all in and completely open your heart? And then if it doesn't work out, or if you lose, or if it ends, in any number of circumstances, do I have the strength to rebound from it? Will I
yeah,
have and so it's that edge for me. It's like I want to be all in my life, and I find myself hesitating because I want to protect myself, or I want to um, kind of control whether or not I'll be able to rebound and reserve energy and so on and so forth. So it's like strategizing your resilience. It's kind of ridiculous.
strategizing your resilience. I like that.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, I think that in any relationship or any venture that you take on, you go through that step of wondering if you could rebound if it doesn't work out. But when you were younger, maybe you didn't think so hard about it, or maybe you just did it and you didn't care and you thought, yeah, I'll rebound. If it doesn't work out, I'll rebound. But then after you go through a few rebounds that have been very difficult and painful, you get a little more resilient, and you think, well, is this really what I want to do?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you started a weekly support group for the community to share their struggles, strategies, and successes.
Yes.
How is that going?
These groups are so helpful. They are Zoom calls, but what's amazing is that we think we're alone and we think that our problems are unique, and they are not. Come to find out. And that's not to diminish anyone's problems. It's just to say it's just common ground. And to be heard and seen and felt and known in a group of supportive, loving people who aren't going to judge you, who aren't going to necessarily give you advice, unless of course you ask for it, but who can really just hold space so that you can have your story be known and also hear it reflected back to you so that you are in a position to shift your story, because we all have imprints, right? That our fascia of our body holds memory, and we have these memories that are impacting our decisions. And oftentimes when we find we have a weight issue, it's because we've been masking our ability to cope with emotions, to cope with life, and we're using food as a coping mechanism
Yeah.
to feel better. And so if we can find healthier ways to share and get educated simultaneously, because inside of the network you can also look at content from other people's strategies that they have found have created success for them. So recipes, education on food is healing, education on goal setting and things, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of content there to be consumed. And on the calls, we really can create space for each other to share and to understand that, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, that we all have this. We all have this. We're all in this together.
Now, Penelope, are you collaborating with your mom in this? Are you doing the community support group together or not yet?
Not yet. Maybe in the future we will. Currently just doing lots of learning aspects in my life right now. I'm doing a lot of
Sure.
learning
Yeah.
avenues. So
I didn't
yeah,
know. So have you haven't done any mother and daughter type groups yet? The support group.
not yet, but we do have an idea to start something for mothers and daughters.
Okay, great. This is awesome. Thank you so much for opening up this very intimate, personal story of both of yours, really. And I wish you both the best in all of your endeavors.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the talent segment of our show today. Jen Helene is going to demonstrate some outdoor cooking for us. Welcome back to the talent segment of Diamond Bridges show. And today I have Jen Helene Popkin who's going to cook for us. She's doing outdoor cooking. What are you going to make for us, Jen?
This is like my favorite place to be, is outside in nature. And I'm making food that's all natural, right? Everything from its source, right? So we're going to use the juice from the lemon, but we're getting it right from the lemon itself. We're going to get some spice, but right from the pepper. So we're going to make a pine nut cream that we're going to use a couple of different ways. And so I choose not to eat dairy. I don't digest it well. It gives me acne and it just doesn't feel that great. It gives me kind of a stomach ache and constipation. So I've had to find that creamy texture in a lot of other ways. And so I don't want to give up my joy of cream. And it's also like an emotional need, a very nurturing when we want something creamy. And why not be able to find something creamy that also has beneficial fats and that's going to go to my skin, my hair, my nails. So I created this amazing, very versatile dressing, dip, and cream that you can have warm or raw or in so many different ways. So we're going to make it. You won't believe how easy it is.
Oh,
and Penelope can
beautiful.
Penelope can attest to how delicious it is as well, right? You love this stuff.
It is so good. It's good on everything. I literally could eat it by the spoonful.
It's a winner.
Wow.
Even if you're not raw vegan, it's definitely a winner. So you see, I'm using 3 lemons, and these are super big, juicy lemons. And I'm using my fingers as a sieve, so the seeds don't go in. The kind of quick tip. And I'm just juicing them. Now you can of course use a juicer if you want to, but lemons help to clear excess estrogen from our bodies. So we want to be eating lemons on a regular basis. In lemon water, I start my day with. I mean, lemons are an essential part of what I buy every single time I go to the grocery store.
Wow.
I keep planting lemon trees because I'm like, I really got to grow lemons.
I didn't know that about estrogen.
Yeah,
I
like
think too, a lot of times we're afraid when we're cooking to use our hands. And when you think about it, our hands are so basic to cooking.
well, yeah, it's the energy that we put into our food, the healing, the love. This is nurturing ourselves. When we feed ourselves, we're nurturing ourselves. So it's really important to, I think, get our hands dirty and, get really involved in, everything that we're doing. I mean, especially with kale, it's important, kale salad, to massage it with lemon juice and salt because it really breaks down the cell wall. And lemon really helps to lift flavors. I like using it more than vinegar. I think vinegar can inhibit digestion. A little bit of apple cider or balsamic, but this is a great, great health giving, of course, vitamin C, we know that, ingredient to add on your salads, in your soups. I add it to just about everything in moderation. Here it's not so moderate. I mean, you see, I probably have about a half a cup of lemon juice, which is a lot. And I have a bunch of pulp. I'm actually gonna give it to the plants. Hopefully that's okay. A little bit.
That's the benefit of cooking outdoors.
And I want to add, so we've got, acid, right? That flavor of kind of, yeah, acid. And then I want to add some spice. So I add a little bit of pepper. Right now you can get habanero peppers, but you can use jalapeno. If you don't have any fresh peppers, you can just use a dash of cayenne or some red pepper flakes. But we want to have a little bit of spice. Without the spice, it's fine. I'm going to add a little bit of salt as well. If you don't use salt, then you can omit it, but you probably will want to add a little bit of maybe some kelp powder just to give it a little bit of more body. But with the cayenne and lemon, the flavor is going to be quite lovely even without the salt. And our main ingredient, our star ingredient, are pine nuts.
Oh, pine nuts.
Pine nuts, we usually find in desserts in Italian restaurants. We find it, less frequently, but they come from pine cones, right? So they come from a tree. It's a tree nut. And if you don't have pine nuts or pine nuts are not in your budget or you can't find them, you can always use almonds. You could use cashews, although I don't recommend using cashews. You could use macadamia nuts. You could even use pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. Pine nuts just happen to be the tastiest and very creamy and extremely health giving. So, of course, too much of anything is not good.
Are they healthier than the cashews?
I don't, when I eat cashews, I get like a reaction in my body. I feel kind of hungover the next day. So they don't really work for my body. Pine nuts, I have no problem. I mean, I might put weight on if I eat a ton of them, but because they are very high in calories.
I didn't know
Um,
how they compare with the calories.
yeah. So this is pretty much it, right? We just used a little bit of pepper. We used some salt, lemon juice, and pine nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to blend this. It's going to be a rather loud noise, and just to get it to be creamy. So let me see. Go here. What we have here is a beautiful cream. It's just so delicate,
Wow.
so simple, so delicious.
And now by cream, but you can use it as a dip or a salad dressing?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a couple of things I like to do with it. Just going to put this over here. And like these are beets, and beets are in season right now. And so I'm just these are organic, so I'm not even gonna peel them. They're washed. But something I love to do is like an hors d'oeuvre for guests is to thinly slice them. Sometimes you can use a mandolin to get a really beautiful thin slice. But you just, place them on a dish. And of course it's raw. Some people might want to cook them, but I really like them raw. I like how crunchy they
I
are.
don't know if I've ever had a raw beet.
And yeah, and then one thing, just it's very decorative, right? You could use watermelon radish. It's also decorative. And what I usually do is I take this, it's kind of like a sour cream, and I'll put it in a little glass jar. So you've got it to use whenever you need it. And it'll last for about 3 days in the fridge. And there's more in there, but I'm just going to stop there. But what I do is I just put a little dollop of cream.
Oh.
And so it's like a little I don't know, it's just like a nice little appetizer that you can serve, when your guests arrive. And it's so beautiful. You can put some lemon zest on there. And right now there's a lot of fennel in the area, so I've been loving the fennel pollen. So I'll take a little bit of fennel pollen, which is a extremely gorgeous adaptogen. It helps you to revitalize your strength. So got some fennel pollen ravioli with beets. And so this is a delicious little thing. Now you see it's pretty thick. That might be too thick, for a salad. You could use that to dip if that's something you wanted to do. And then sometimes you can add a little bit of water. And then what you have, and you can also do this in the blender, you'll have like a much lighter sauce, which you can take a bed of greens. So I have this beautiful green. I make a colossal salad every few days. This one's unusually beautiful because it has flowers in it. And then you just top the salad with it, as a salad dressing. So it's a lot thinner, you see, when I added water. Right, so it lowers the calories and it makes it more accessible as a dressing. You can also dip cucumbers into it, carrots, celery sticks. You can add it to pasta sauces. You can use it like you would a sour cream in other dishes. I don't know, Penelope, what else do you like with it?
I like sweet potatoes with it. Those are so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
You
those are
cook,
delicious.
you cook the sweet potato first and then you dip it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Even carrots would
Mhm.
be good too.
Mm-hmm.
Cucumber.
But
Yeah.
So you've used
wow,
it with
it's so
pasta
good.
too, like a little sauce with pasta? Just toss it?
Yeah. Well, like I'll make so what I use things like pasta and even some doughs as like a vehicle for vegetables. So I can saute like maybe zucchini and peppers and whatever I have in the fridge or in my CSA box. um and then just to kind of make it creamy, I'll add a tablespoon or two of the pine nut cream. So then it's like a lot of vegetables, but then the cream binds it together. So then I have like a beautiful sauce.
Mm.
So it's just a little bit more comforting, a little bit more decadent, a little bit more abundant. So
Mm-hmm.
that that's
Nice.
one of my favorite things to do. When I have like a delicious sauce
Yeah,
that I'm looking for. Yeah.
that
So here I
back,
am. This is
beautiful.
the backyard. I know this is so pretty back here. I love being outside.
Now, that direction is that facing east in
This is east, yeah. In this direction, the ocean is just
yeah,
down
yeah,
the hill.
beautiful. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank you both again for opening up and having this talk with me today. We can really learn a lot from you, and I wish you both the best in all of your endeavors. So, Jen Helene, where can people find you?
Well, please reach out to me directly. You can find the contact form on my website, jennifer-helene.com. And you can also just email me, jenhelene@gmail.com. I love to help people strategize their health and to get back on track to get to that, innate place of freedom and joy and health.
Yay, I love that.
Hmm.
And Penelope, can people find you to help them invest in houses?
For sure. You can find me at Triple P Properties on Instagram. And you can also email me at popkinpenelope@gmail.com.
And
So
can
yeah,
you help them flip a house? Can you?
totally helps with the house. I'm also looking right now, I'm looking for investors to work with. So if anyone is interested in investing in some property, I would love to join along and help you guys out.
Yay. We'll see you next time on Diamond Bridges. Tune in to our monthly episodes. You can turn on your alerts to find a new episode of Diamond Bridges on the first Monday of every month. And you can listen to our gemstones, which are the highlights of the show episodes. See you next time.